What's up, guys? Kelly McKay here, aka HVAC Millionaire, right here on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell, hit the like button, and leave me a comment below. Today I want to talk to you about the slow season, because we are currently in a slow season, and part of avoiding slow seasons is going to depend on how and what we do during our summer. Not only will it help you extend your busy season once the summer temperatures, the demand starts to fall due to the temperatures falling, and that could happen, for Kansas. I mean, it could happen as early as the second week in August. But some of the other places, you might stay busy all the way through November. It just depends on where you live and how long that demand service season is going to last. But sooner or later, it's going to slow down a little bit. And so in order to not just have a dip in the amount of work that you have, it's going to depend on how you tackle this summer and how you run your calls. So I just want to show you a simple framework that you can use in your business that I call conversion conversations. Now, these aren't the conversations like the greeting conversation when you first walk up and knock on a door and, hi, my name is Kelly. I'm with XYZ Heating and Air. Here to take a look at your system. May I come in? You come in, put your shoe covers on. Tell me what's going on with your system. It's not that. That's a totally different part of the service call. That would be like the before part or the initial greeting of the service call. What we're talking about here is the during part of the service call. So you can use this 4-step framework to just help create some urgency with your customers so that they'll actually do what you're prescribing them that they need to do after you've evaluated and diagnosed the system. So the first thing we have to do to have conversion conversations, we have to converse. Seems simple, right? Well, that's once you figure out what's going on and you've evaluated everything on the entire system, because like I've shared with you guys, we don't just go in and look for one part that's failed and say, oh, this is what you need. No, we want to look at it as an entire system because it is a system that works together. It's not just some, it takes all the parts have to work together for it to be the most efficient, safe, reliable, and to provide the comfort that the customer deserves. So we're going to have a conversation once we've evaluated the system. And that typically is going to include either taking pictures of everything you found and having that conversation, or you're going to go get the customer and bring them to the where you're working. Next is compare. Converse, compare. You're going to compare what you found to something that makes sense to them. So if I've got a condenser fan motor that's working really hard, well, I might compare that to, like, say, imagine, Mrs. Smith, if I had a wheelbarrow and I had 200 pounds in this wheelbarrow and I'm trying to push it. Well, that's kind of what's happening here. What I need to do is clean this coil, and that's going to be like taking 100 pounds off of my wheelbarrow. So now it's so much easier to push. Now I can suck this air through this condenser. That's just something I just came up with off the top of my head. But you're going to compare it to something that makes sense to them. That's how we learn. Don't get stuck in the technical jargon, because you're just going to confuse the customer. They don't have the experience or the knowledge that you have. So trying to bring them up to speed on the level of knowledge and experience that you have is kind of you're not going to get very far with it. So you want to compare it to something that makes sense to them. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to contrast. So contrast, right? So contrast. So what are we doing when we contrast is we're contrasting what's the major part that could fail if we don't fix this. Like if you don't let me do a deep clean on your condenser coil, well, then we're probably going to lose a fan motor. We may lose a compressor motor. So we're going to compare our current repair to something that's much more expensive. That could be an after-hours service call. It could be something that if we don't fix this today, like, you're going to pay more money. And we're just showing them, we're showing the contrast between what this costs today versus what it'll cost in the future. The next thing you're going to do is close. So converse, compare, contrast, and close. Now the close is not some hardcore close like you're like, we need to do this, you have to do this now. It's not that, but we're assuming that we're going to get this opportunity to go ahead and make our repairs that we are prescribing. So if we're doing that, then we're going to make sure to just say something to the nature of, okay, Ms. Smith, well, I'll go ahead and get this on my list of things that we're going to take care of today, and I'll bring that to you before we actually make a decision and I do any actual work. Here's the next thing I wanted to show you, right? And then we're going to go right on to showing the next thing. So if you use this framework, and I'm going to teach this framework in depth on, it's part of our course that's going to be coming out called the No Slow Season Playbook, because like I said earlier, part of not having a slow season is it's going to determine what you do during the peak seasons. Your valleys, your lows, always is determined by what you do during the peak. So we want to make sure to maximize the peak so that the valleys are smooth sailing. So, but you can absolutely use this, just from some of the stuff that I've shared with you right now, which is conversion conversations. Converse, compare, contrast, and close. It's going to help you get better at having the customer understand why we need to do this today instead of waiting or just doing the bare minimum. And if you do this consistently, these conversations are very, very quick. They don't take a ton of time, but if you do it consistently, it's going to help you close a higher average ticket because you're selling more service. It's not because you're charging a whole bunch more, you're just actually doing a whole bunch more work, which is actually what we want in our business. Even though sometimes it gets towards the end of the day and we want to go home, doesn't matter. Keep the spotlight on the customer. Continue to serve them at the best of your ability to maximize that call. You're going to have extremely happy customers, and you're going to have a really booming, thriving business. So that's all I got for you guys. Go make money. Boom.